welcome to Justice Losers, the most unqualified podcast with more irrelevant questions about entertainment, namely movies, TVs, and comics. I'm your host, Preston, joined as always by my delightful co-host,
Matt.
And joined for the, probably about fourth time,
Roughly.
our good buddy, Brendan.
I'm not going to make the joke that Matt made because I'm a professional.
So what we're going to do, we have our friend Brendan on today. And that is because Brendan is a massive nerd about James Bond. You've seen all of the movies?
Yes.
Multiple times?
Yes.
Probably a select several of them many, many multiple times. You have your favorites. Matt has seen...
I've seen a majority.
Almost all of them. So we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do this. I have these 6 bonds. 6 important bonds. Canonical bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 comparisons. Each of you are going to be randomly given one of them. We're going to do it twice. But before we do that, I'm going to let each of you veto one of the bonds that you don't think you can defend well. And before you decide which one you want to veto, I'm going to tell you the 5 categories.
Okay.
Best villain, best Bond girl, best coolness, best spyness, and then a wild card on like how you like just any other things that particularly that Bond is like unique and you want to defend that. So, given those categories, which bonds would you like to yank out of there? Probably Lazenby.
Probably Lazenby. And I think I'd love that movie. Like, the movie itself was great. His performance fell flat, just didn't fit. And I don't think there's enough there to really defend him.
Okay.
I could defend Lazenby, but I guess he's vetoed.
Yep.
I'll get rid of Roger Moore.
Rid of Moore.
Ooh, that's a lot, though. Wait, is it vetoed for each other?
For both of you, yeah.
Oof.
So, the 2 of you, so there are 4 now total possibilities. Craig, Connery, Dalton, and Brosnan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change my random generator. Don't know why I left it like that. Okay. Brendan, your person is Brosnan.
All right.
Versus Matt, Connery.
All right. I like this. This is a good pairing right here.
So, Brendan, I'll let you go first. Let's go with villains.
Villains.
Defend his villains. His
villains are excellent in a lot of different ways. Why? Because they start branching out of the realm of, I'm going to make, some of them do some outlandish things, but I think that's what's fun. And they pick on the right boogeymen. Mm-hmm. One of them has relations to North Korea. Mm-hmm. What does he want to do? He wants to build a giant laser to blow up and carve out everything imaginable. That's crazy. That's wild. That's a scary villain. If you want to scare a lot of people,
if you say so.
If you want to scare a lot of people, giant North Korean laser. That's all I'm saying there.
Okay.
Keep going on that. I've said it before. Giant media mogul trying to spin things in a scary way. That's really relevant right now. That's really scary right now. I think that is a lot of power, way ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. Dorky of a character.
Sure.
But in the right kind of way. Then you got the one and only Sean Bean.
Of course.
You cannot fault Sean Bean. And he does what he does in movies best, and that is die.
Yep.
He doesn't. If you ever heard that, no, you do much more, Sean. I love you. But I think he has arguably the best villains out there because they can be tied to a much more broad range of things that can terrify everyone from the most powerful to the least powerful.
Okay.
There's something there for everyone to be afraid of.
All right. I think that's a good argument. I think it's a valid argument. I think you're coming at it from the wrong direction there. You talk about fear, and I think this is really just more of an argument between eras, because by Brosnan, by the 90s, they are going a little more serious, trying to be a little more relevant. And I think Connery, you're going back to the original, you're remembering that these are movies. This is entertainment. You want entertainment. And yes, I get that fear can be entertainment in and of itself. I mean, horror movies are a thing for a reason. But you think about the iconic Bond villains, the ones that have brought the most entertainment. And it's Dr. No. It's Goldfinger. It's these guys that have the crazy schemes and the elaborate plots and the big larger-than-life personalities. And then you set that aside, and you've even got like the From Russia with Love. You've got Thunderball. You've got the things where it's more Spectre. It's more espionage and finding out information. You get a mix of both the Cold War zeitgeist and the big larger-than-life entertaining ones.
I have no retort for that. He's right. This really does suck because personally, I think that Moore has some of the most fun villains. They're so bad in some cases. You've literally got a freaky looking Elon Musk as a villain.
I think, because this is totally subjective on who wins, I'm going to go with Matt on that one.
Yes. I should probably go first on the second
category. I will see
at
this point.
Yep.
Okay. Matt, why does Connery have the best Bond girls?
Because he is the sexiest man, and girls just kind of fall all over him. He's got one named Pussy Galore.
Yes, I'm aware. That has been brought to my attention countless times in this episode.
How many times do we have to say that name in order for this to potentially get demonetized?
You assume we're monetized at all?
No, I think there's the limitations of the era here is that females weren't characters at this point in the Bond franchise. Up to a point. From Russia with Love, you get the KGB agent who thinks she's a KGB agent and is given a little more agency, a little more of a personality. She's kind of in a tough situation and has to do what she has to do. You get some of the iconic henchwoman ones and the more interesting ones. Pussy Galore, Honey, what's her face from
Honey Rider.
Let's see. What are some other Connery Bond movies? Thunderball, Domino, has a lot more agency than any of the previous Bond girls. She actually is the one that ends up killing the villain. And she is instrumental in the plot and much more of a character unto herself. So I think that within the limitations of the era, you have a wide degree of variety and you have some steps in the right direction, at least.
Where his movies stepped, Brosnan's ran. And I just can say 3 words.
Brendan has such a much better sense of the dramatic debate style.
You've met my family.
Yeah.
3 words. Halle Berry.
She's a Bond girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Die Another Day.
She Die Another Day. And she has a ton of agency.
Mm-hmm.
She is always through there. I'm blanking on her name, but she is one of the villains in where they're in Istanbul in the submarine. I mentioned it earlier.
Yep. World Is Not Enough.
World Is Not Enough.
Yes.
Her method of killing people, specifically men, is to break their ribs in sex with her legs.
Xenia Onatopp.
Hence the name.
Yep.
That one right there is a little hard to defend. But
that movie has 2 other Bond girls.
Yes.
Why am I helping you?
Because you feel mercy for this one boy who's not good at debates.
No, I think I'm losing this point. So
no, I think with Connery's, I stand on my point earlier of where the Connery Bond girls were beginning to explore different realms or whatever. Brosnan, they were a lot more developed. They still have plenty of room to grow in that regard.
Sure.
But they suddenly become so much more detailed and intricate to the plot. And I think that's why they are better overall.
Definitely giving this one to Brendan.
I think I was going to lose that one.
Yeah.
No matter how good my argument was.
You had one good Bond girl in there that was at least had some not just being the eye candy.
Eye candy's an argument unto itself.
Only other defense is the
And you want to go up against Halle Berry.
Yeah. But the argument of the restrictions of the time is such a weak argument.
Yeah.
Especially just, general progressive society.
But it's a really weird one to talk about because at the end of the day, they are trying to make a movie and that makes money. In the 60s, it would have been really difficult for them to do something really crazy and maintain massive commercial success. It's not defending that by any means, but it is at least explaining some of it.
Yeah. Right. Sex sells, and at that point, the submissive woman was the attractive model, which is why Connery slapped him all the time.
Down with the patriarchy. Coolness. So that'd
Brendan
be
leads on this
Brendan.
one.
So why is your Bond cooler?
He knows he's not. He knows.
I touched on earlier why I think Connery's my favorite and the coolest. This is tough. All right, name a modern actor who is more handsome in his prime than Pierce Brosnan.
Armie Hammer, Henry Cavill,
Idris Elba. Daniel Craig.
No, I think this is really tough. This is a really, really tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he is an exceptionally cool character.
Mm-hmm.
But Connery's got it in that regard.
Man, you really just franced it there, didn't you?
I look, there's not much I can do. He is really cool. It's comparing number 1 to number 2 to me.
Yeah. I think there is an argument in Brosnan's direction, just to pitch in for the other side before I go for the kill.
Sometimes.
What is it? Sometimes a weak form of pity is the strongest form of cruelty. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
A la Georgia Tech versus Cumberland, 1916.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, now back to you, massacring.
Back to Brosnan. I think Brosnan plays a little bit more of a demure Bond. He's a little lower key. His delivery, it makes the delivery on the one-liners really work because it kind of just slides out of nowhere. And he's got that unflappable attitude that you were talking about. Like he's rolling down the street in a tank and his hair is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, Connery he's the ideal here. He's got the sense of humor. He's got the wink and the smile, but he can go like stone cold killer. He looks great in a suit. He looks great in a Speedo. He looks great in a towel. He drives the flashiest cars with that casual confidence that you want. He plays cards with that casual confidence that you want. He smokes cigars with that casual confidence that's kind of problematic nowadays, but you know what? It was epitome of cool at the time, and it still speaks to some little bit of our inner masculine.
There's a reason fashion is going back towards style from the 60s and not style from 2001.
Yep.
I cede my victory, or any hope of a victory I had to Matt. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of doing that.
I explicitly am viewing Sean Connery from like Hunt for Red October and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in a Speedo and a towel, and he's like slightly overweight, very old.
Have you seen the Zardoz outfit?
The what?
Oh no.
Google Zardozz.
Pull that up, Jamie.
Probably something I've come across.
That being said, Hunt for Red October, Connery is a handsome ass man. Whew. That is a refined gentleman.
Oh boy, he pulls off the old silver fox.
Talk about it. Like, I think a movie that does not get enough love.
Oh, it's great.
It was a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that one definitely goes to Brendan.
Matt.
Brendan. Just kidding, it's Matt. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even front on that one.
Who is the best spy? Matt.
I think that Connery has a leg up in this department because it is a lot of Cold War spy movies. You're dealing with a lot of espionage. Sure, a lot of them are the larger than life, the Dr. No and the Goldfingers of the world, where he's just foiling the bad guy's plot. You know, he's creeping around the facility or whatever, picking off henchmen one by one. But that's more of like stealthy action than true spy movie. But you look more at like, I keep going back to From Russia with Love because I really like that movie. I think it's one of the best Bond movies.
I know Craig and I think Brosnan both say that that's their personal favorite.
Mm-hmm. It's probably in my top 3. It's
one of the most influential of them all by a long measure.
Yeah. And it's just a spy movie. Bond Spectre sets a trap, trying to play the KGB and British intelligence off against each other. And it is very much like British intelligence, like, yeah, this is probably a trap. We don't know exactly what's going on, but hey, Bond, we need you to go and get this Soviet decoding machine. It's probably a trap, but figure out what's going on. Kill a bunch of bad guys along the way. And so it's a lot of like sneaking back and forth between embassies and covert meetings with either higher ups, people being trailed in cars, the classic Cold War Smiley era kind of stuff. Finding the documents, and sure, it's got some shootouts and stuff, but the final confrontation is in a train. Like it's not high stakes. It is very much just more of a Cold War era spy movie, and I think on average, Connery movies don't lend themselves much to that, but when they needed to, they had the exact backdrop for it, and they played it perfectly.
All right, Brendan.
I like that. I like that a lot. Anyway.
Oh dear.
If you want to look at how good a spy can be, you look at how they do things and what they can do. If you want to look at the broad range of skills, like just the true skill set, Brosnan blows them out of the park. He had more opportunities to learn different things because of technology of the era. Sure. You got to understand that. But I always feel like when Connery is experimenting or about to operate some kind of new equipment, he's got like this a little bit. He looks like a kid who's on a go-kart with a V8 behind him. You don't know what's going to happen. Something will, but let's just kind of see what happens. Brosnan's like, all right, I know this. I'm going to hack into this computer, figure this out, download this data, and I understand, okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go operate a tank through St. Petersburg, or was it Moscow?
One of the two.
Same thing.
The big Russia city.
Dash cams and vodka and Adidas tracksuits.
Show up the virus.
If you want to, I think he has a lot more opportunities to do more creative, different spy things. He has to adapt a lot more. He has to deal with the fact that there are actually cameras. There are ways for him to be seen. Look, it's great to do spy stuff that involves you sitting inside of a fake alligator and swimming up to a place to blow it up, a la Connery and Goldfinger. It's another thing to try and navigate your way through a place with lasers, with security cameras, guards with fully automatic submachine guns. They still have that in Connery's era. You've got a lot more fun ways to die. And the fact that he can navigate those and still be a functional expert in everything, I think that makes him the more potent and dangerous spy, especially.
Okay. I like that too.
I like the cameras thing.
Because I think cameras and cell phones are the ultimate weapon to derail pretty much any horror movie or spy movie. It's, oh God, I don't know who's outside. Are you there? Hey, where are you? I'm outside. Okay, cool. It changes a lot of stuff.
This one goes to Brendan. I like the technology aspect. I like the cameras, like having to dodge the cameras, like having to do.
Yeah, he's got to do more. Yeah, I get it.
But I will say, Matt, very good argument on your behalf.
Well, thank you, sir.
This is entirely objective and will determine the world's opinion on which Bond is the best Bond. So.
Okay, it comes all into this.
Nice low stakes.
Boy,
right.
It's 2-2. Wild card. Convince me.
I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
I'll dive right in. Connery was the defining James Bond. We talked about this earlier. There are aspects of that character that did not exist in the books until Connery came along, and Ian Fleming liked him so much he wrote them in. We talked about this idea that Bond is the ultimate masculine fantasy. He can do what he wants, and he's good at everything, and everyone likes him. And Connery, he's just got that roguish charm, that little sort of half smirk and a one-liner for everyone. He's got the most iconic movies with like Dr. No and Goldfinger. Those are two of the ones that everyone goes back to, with the exception of the Craig ones, but those are kind of in the cultural imagination anyway. And I think he's, he hits all the beats. He's got the fun gadgets. He's got, admittedly the Bond girls are a little weak, but some of them are interesting. They go some interesting directions. He's got the best villains. I think he's the whole package.
All right.
All up in his package.
In the Speedo. Sorry, Speedo.
Speedo.
If you want to look at the Bond who potentially saved the whole franchise, you look at Pierce Brosnan. They wanted him for the Dalton movies. They wanted him really badly because they knew he would do a great job. He did such a good job, you made the British love an Irishman. I mean, you put the British worst nightmare on screen, and that is an Irishman roaming freely in a tank in the streets. There is nothing that scares them more than that, aside from Americans not wanting to pay taxes on tea. You find... I like the idea that he was the Bond who saved the franchise. I think Connery is unmistakably the most iconic of them all. But nowadays, you look at the staying power of everything, the Brosnan movies just have it. They feel old enough to where there's a little bit of a disconnect. You're like, oh, okay, that could have happened. I don't know. And it feels there's a little bit more character to them, but they're still fresh enough that it doesn't feel campy. It doesn't feel too over the top. But they maintain it's a good balance of movies. It's a good balance of just all kinds of things. And he still talk about the epitome of cool. The epitome of cool in the 90s and early 2000s. Dark hair, strong jaw, unflappable at all times, great suits, great cars. He had it all. And he still had really, really strong Bond girls too. And really strong villains. And I think it went more in his favor of that.
I think it's a tie.
No, you caught
Nah, it's
that.
going to Brendan.
Whoa! Don't. I said my piece. I'm done.
No, I think it's I think that you can't save, to kind of actually use part of Matt's point for Brosnan. I don't think you can save a franchise without also being iconic in yourself, in and of yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, while yes, Connery is
Bond.
Is the iconic Bond.
And again,
Brosnan
he's my
both
favorite.
saved the franchise by also being his own iconic style of Bond that is like
Rebuttal.
going forward.
Die Another Day almost killed the franchise. Daniel Craig's the one that saved it.
My answer is final. I put it in my Excel sheet, and Excel sheets are God.
All right, Brosnan's better than Connery. Heard
Brosnan's
it
better
here,
than
folks.
Connery.
My mom just smiled, and I really don't like that debate answer. I'll just put that on the record. I personally, look, I'm undermining myself here, but under good conscience, I have to say that Connery is Bond.
Look, my opinions are 0, and so it doesn't matter. Also, like, I was genuine. I didn't know how to, like, I was going off two people's opinions that were very similar, honestly. Like, it was genuinely a tie in my head. I just went for, like...
I'm happy with the tie.
Yeah.
Specifically a black bow tie.
Nice.
That I approve of.
Hey guys, Preston here. Due to the YouTube algorithm, we can only put about 15 to 20 minutes on video. So if you want to listen to the rest of this discussion, you can go listen to our audio-only version on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and any other app you might listen to podcasts on. Thanks for watching.